This story is titled My Adopted Brother. Slept with my fiancé before the wedding. She was never yours to begin with. He smirked. I made sure he has nothing left. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. So I'm sitting here at 3 a.m. with bloody knuckles, barely holding it together. Figured I'd write this down while I'm still processing this. __. Maybe it'll help someone spot the red flags. I missed some background. I have an adopted brother, I'll call him Alex, who has always been the golden child in our fam. My parents brought him home when I was 4, and from day one it was like they built something with this kid while I was just an afterthought, the backup quarterback. Maybe it was some kind of overcompensation, like they had to prove they loved him just as much, maybe more because he wasn't theirs by blood. Every birthday, every Christmas, every time we were in the same room, it always felt like they were going the extra mile for him. Meanwhile, I was just their biological kid, the one who didn't need the special treatment, and Alex was the charming one, got straight A's without even trying, captain of whatever sports team he felt like joining that semester. Meanwhile, I was just the regular bio kid they already had. Don't get me wrong, my parents fed and clothed me and all that, but there was always this vibe where Alex could do no wrong and I was just supposed to suck it up. My dad missed my high school graduation 'cause Alex had a tennis tournament the same day. That kind of __. was normal. Fast forward to now. I'm 32, male, he's 30. Alex works at this fancy investment firm, drives a Tesla, has that downtown penthouse with the glass walls. I always wondered if part of him felt like he had something to prove, like being adopted meant he had to outshine me at everything just to secure his place. Maybe he thought being the better son would erase the fact that he wasn't a real son. If that was the case, he sure as hell succeeded, because I busted my ass to become a firefighter, made lieutenant last year, youngest in my district. I love my job, literally save lives, but to my parents still doesn't compare to Alex's Wall Street __. I'm not making surprise trip to Italy money like golden boy. Then I met MIA __. Guys, she's smart, hot as hell, funny, and for once someone who saw me not as Alex's brother but as Jake. She's a graphic designer, has this awesome sleeve tattoo of geometric shapes that still somehow looks classy. We dated for 3 years, and when I proposed she said yes without even hesitating. Now here's where it gets __. Up. My parents, of course, insisted Alex help with the wedding planning. He's got connections, Jake, he knows the right people. MIA thought it was great too. Who wouldn't want a fancy wedding at half price? So Alex volunteered to handle the hotel arrangements for the wedding party and stuff. You've got enough on your plate with your work schedule, bro. Let me take care of it, he said, showing me screenshots of the bookings on his phone. Always the helpful one, always there, like a __. Snake waiting to strike. So there I was in the rehearsal dinner. Nothing seemed off until I realized I hadn't seen MIA for like an hour. She texted saying she was feeling overwhelmed and needed some air. I figured it was just normal bride jitters or whatever. Tried calling but straight to voicemail. Then I noticed Alex was Gone too, probably went to grab more ice. Someone said, but his car wasn't in the parking lot. Something in my gut felt wrong, like when you walk into a room that's too quiet on a fire call. I opened Instagram to message MIA when I saw she'd posted a story for like a second before deleting it, but I caught the hotel room number in the background. Different from ours, room 312. Here's the thing about being with someone for 3 years, you know their passcode. MIA never changed hers. Her sister's birthday. I checked her recent text with Alex. Lots of wedding planning stuff, but then more personal. __ Flirty, can't wait to see you tonight kind of texts. I took the elevator up to 312 and used the spare key card Alex had given me in case of emergency. The __ irony, the hallway was dead quiet except for my footsteps and some ice machine humming in the distance. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the key card. The door beeped green. They didn't even hear me come in at first, didn't yell, didn't slam. The door just stood there, taking it all in. My mind raced on what I should do at this shitty moment. I did the first thing that came to mind, taking pictures on my phone evidence. That's when Alex noticed me. This __ didn't jump or try to cover up, he just smirked. Actually __ smirked. She was never yours to begin with, he said, reaching for his phone. Want to see the messages? How long this has been going on, how she comes to me every time you're working those 24-hour shifts. MIA was crying as if she's doing it involuntarily. Jake, please. I can explain. It's not what I exhaled, slowly rolling my shoulders. That was the moment he sealed his face. Not when he took from me, because looking at MIA now, she wasn't even worth stealing. Not when he crawled into bed with my fiancé, not when he spent years leeching off everything that should have been mine like he was entitled to it. It was right now when he thought he won. When he decided to gloat, I smiled a cold, knowing you're about to regret everything kind of smile. Yeah, I said, stepping forward, and you were never built to keep it. Then I swung and caught him with a right hook that connected with his jaw. He stumbled back, surprised that his usually calm brother had finally snapped. We crashed into the hotel desk, knocking over lamps, the TV. MIA was screaming for us to stop. Alex got in a couple shots, but he didn't stand a chance against someone who carries people out of burning buildings for a living. I tackled him into the bathroom door, splintering it. You take everything, I barked, driving my fist into his smug face again. And for what? Her eye let out a sharp laugh, shoving him back like the worthless parasite he was. You didn't steal anything, Alex, you just took out my trash. He staggered, barely staying on his feet, finally realizing he was never built to go toe-to-toe with a man who actually earned what he had. The hotel security finally pulled us apart. My knuckles were bleeding. Alex's eye was already swelling shut. His lips split as they dragged me out. I looked at MIA, who was clutching the sheets around her like they could somehow protect her from the mess she made. Keep the ring, I said, my voice weirdly calm. It's fake anyway. It was fake, but watching her face fall was worth the lie. I sat in my truck in the hotel parking lot. I called and cancelled the venue. I also called my crew chief to see if I could pick up extra shifts next week, anything to keep busy. After sitting in my truck for like an hour that night, I finally decided to call my parents back just to let them know the wedding was off. Simple, direct. But before I could even finish my sentence, my mom cut me off. Alex already Called us, how could you, Jake, attacking your brother like that? We raised you better. Of course he called them first. Classic Alex move, always controlling the narrative. Did he mention he was underscore my fiancé? I shouted into the phone. Yeah? Not my proudest moment, but I was still seeing red. Dead silence on the other end. Then my dad, there must be some misunderstanding, Alex said. MIA came to him upset about having doubts, and he was just comforting her when you barged in and went crazy. Unbelievable. Even with this, they were taking his side. The golden child could do no wrong, even when caught deep in. My fiancé, yeah, he was comforting her all right with his thing. My mom gasped. My dad told me I was being vulgar and irrational and to come over tomorrow. When I'd calmed down, I hung up. I sat there gripping my phone so hard my fingers ached. My head was pounding, my heart still slamming in my chest, but I wasn't even sure if it was anger anymore. It felt like I was free falling, like my entire life had just split down the middle and I had no idea where I was going to land. MIA was gone. The wedding was off. My parents predictably took Alex's side, and Alex was probably sitting somewhere smug, knowing he got away with it again. How long? That question was eating at me. How long had this been going on? Was it just some spur of the moment betrayal, or had I been a joke to them for months, years? Did he always have his sights on whatever was mine? And then another thought hit me, one that made my stomach turn. Was MIA the first I ran through every serious relationship I'd ever had, every girl I ever trusted, and a sick feeling crawled up my spine. Alex had always been charming, always the center of attention, and I never thought twice about it until now. I needed to know. I scrolled through my contacts, found a number I hadn't used in years, Alex's ex, and hit call. She answered. Who's this? Rebecca. It's Jake. I pause. Then why are you calling me? Straight to the point. I need to ask you something about Alex. Rebecca scoffed. No. You really don't. It's important. I forced the words out my throat, dry. I need to know when you two were together. Did he ever cheat on you? That got another sharp laugh, but there was no humor in it. You're calling me out of nowhere after 2 years to ask if Alex was faithful. I don't know what kind of mess you're in, but I'm not part of it. I have nothing to do with him anymore. It is your business. My voice came out harsher than I meant it to, but I didn't care. He was sleeping with MIA. Silence when Rebecca finally spoke again. Her tone was clipped. That's awful, but it's not my problem. You were with him for 3 years. I pushed you, just suddenly broke up. No explanation. Was it because of something like this? Rebecca exhaled sharply, like she was trying to hold back something bitter. Jake, I don't owe you anything. You should have figured out the kind of guy your brother is before he wrecked your life, not after. I'm just trying to understand. I said, I need to know if this is who he's always been. There was a long pause, then flatly she said, move on, and she hung up. I stared at the screen, a wave of anger rolling through me. She knew something, I could feel it, but she wasn't willing to say it. Fine, I didn't need her. I still had a job to do. I shoved my phone in my pocket, turned the key in the ignition, and pulled out of the lot. I decided to go to first thing in the morning to my parents' house to show them exactly what their golden child had done the next morning. As I was about to head out again, my phone rang, and it was Rebecca. I picked up, bracing for another shutdown, but her voice was different. Jake, I'm sorry about yesterday. I didn't know. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She took a breath. There's something you should know about Alex. Can we meet? We agreed to meet at this 24-hour diner I go to sometimes after rough shifts. When I got there, Rebecca looked different than I remembered. She seemed more confident but also kind of nervous. I wasn't going to say anything. She started fidgeting with her coffee cup. But after what he did to you and MIA, you deserve to know. She pulled out her phone and showed me pictures of a little boy, maybe 18 months old, cute kid, curly hair, big eyes. This is Connor, your nephew. I stared at her, not understanding at first. Then it hit me like a ladder falling off the truck. Alex has a son. Why would he hide that? Rebecca laughed, but there was no humor in it because he wanted nothing to do with him. When I told him I was pregnant, he said it would ruin his image and offered to pay for an abortion. When I refused, he made me sign an NDA as part of a support agreement. I get monthly payments as long as I never tell anyone he's the father, especially not your parents. I looked closer at the photos. The kid had the same dimple on his right cheek that Alex has. Holy __. There's more, Rebecca said, scrolling through her phone. Screenshots of conversations, emails where he talks about other women while we were together, including some from MIA that started 6 months ago. 6 months. MIA and I were already engaged by then. We were looking at __. Wedding venues. Why are you showing me this now? I asked. Because I'm tired of the lies and because your family deserves to know what kind of person he really is. She hesitated. There's something else you should know. Alex has been taking credit for your work at the fire department. I blinked. What? How? You know Tony at your station, the one with the podcast about extreme sports? Tony, the guy who always seemed too interested in my ideas at shift meetings. Alex and Tony play racquetball together. Tony's been feeding Alex all your fire safety protocols and community out ideas. Alex has been presenting them to the city council as his own consulting work. That's how he landed that city contract last year with your shelter improvement plan. My head was spinning. The golden child had built his kingdom on lies, and I had the evidence to burn it all down. What are you going to do? Rebecca asked. I smiled. The kind of smile you get when you're about to hit back for the first time in your life. I'm going to introduce my parents to their grandson the next morning. I asked Rebecca if she'd be willing to come with me to my parents' house. She was nervous about breaking the NDA with Alex, but I had a workaround. What if I'm the one who tells them? You're just there to confirm. She thought about it, then nodded. I think that works. So Sunday evening we showed up at my parents' suburban home, the same one where they have a trophy case dedicated to Alex's achievements, while my fire department commendations are stuffed in a drawer somewhere. When my mom opened the door and saw Rebecca, she looked confused. Rebecca, what a surprise. We haven't seen you since. Well, it's been a while. She's with me, Mom, I said, walking in. My dad was in his usual armchair watching golf. He looked up, frowning, when he saw my still bruised knuckles. Jake, if you've come to apologize to your brother, he's not here. I know, that's why I came. Now there's something you both need to know. I motioned for Rebecca to sit. I pulled up the first photo of little Connor and handed my phone to my mom. My dad leaned over to look. What a cute baby, my mom said, confused. Who child is this? Your grandson, I said. Florida. Alex's son. The color drained from both their faces. My dad snatched the phone, zooming in on the picture like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. That's not possible. Alex would have told us if he had a child. Rebecca spoke up. He made me sign an agreement Never to tell anyone he pays child support on the condition I keep quiet. I swipe to the next photo. Connor at the park, the family dimple clearly visible. Oh my God, my mom whispered, he looks just like Alex did at that age. My dad finished, voice hollow. I took back my phone and pulled up some of the screenshots Rebecca had shared. There's more. Alex has been cheating on every girlfriend he's ever had, including with my fiancée for at least 6 months. My parents sat in stunned silence as I showed the message after message, date and time stamped, and I continued, he's been stealing my work through a guy on my crew, presenting it as his own to city officials. My dad shook his head. No, there must be some explanation. That's when the front door opened and Alex walked in. Perfect. __. Timing. He froze when he saw all of us in the living room, his eyes locking on Rebecca, and then the phone in my hand. One side of his face was purple from where I'd connected. What the __. Is she doing here? He snarled. My mom stood up, tears in her eyes. Is it true? Do you have a son? Alex's face went through about 5 expressions in 2 seconds, finally settling on cold calculation. Rebecca's mentally unstable. That kid could be anyone. Stop lying. Rebecca cut in, something fierce in her voice. I have the DNA test results in my purse. Connor is your son, and these people are his grandparents. My dad stood now too, looking older than I'd ever seen him. All these years we trusted you, supported you, we always tried to make you feel like you belonged, and this is how you repay us, by lying, by hurting your brother. Alex laughed, that condescending laugh I'd heard a million times. Oh please, poor Jake, always the victim. You want to know why MIA came to me? Because she was bored, because Jake's he didn't finish, because my dad did something I'd never seen in my 32 years. He slapped Alex across the face. Get out of my house, he said, voice shaking. Now Alex looked stunned, touching his cheek where the slap had landed on top of my bruise. Then his eyes narrowed. Fine, but don't expect another dime from me. No more vacations, no more helping with the mortgage. You're on your own. As he stormed out, slamming the door, my parents collapsed onto the couch. My mom was openly sobbing now. I'm so sorry, Jake. She kept saying we didn't know, we didn't see. It wasn't the vindication I'd expected. It just felt sad. After Rebecca left, I stayed for a couple more hours, just talking with them. They had a lot of questions about Connor. When was he born? Does he have any allergies? Does he like dinosaurs or trucks? Kids not even 2, so both, I guess. Monday morning I spent canceling all the remaining wedding stuff. Pro tip: when vendors hear my brother slept with the bride, they get surprisingly flexible about refund policies. Most gave back at least 70%. Even the venue that was supposed to be non-refundable, the few who were being dicks about it, let's just say their Yelp pages are about to get some pretty detailed reviews. Mia's been blowing up my phone, first with tea apologies, then with accusations like you never made me feel special and you work too much, then back to begging forgiveness. Most recent one was a voice message where she's crying so hard I can barely understand her, saying she made a huge mistake and Alex manipulated her. I haven't blocked her, I'm just letting the messages pile up in case I need them later. Plus it's kind of satisfying watching her spiral. NGL. The interesting part started Tuesday. Remember Tony from my fire station, the guy who was feeding info to Alex? I confronted him during shift change, laid out everything I knew. Dude turned white as a ghost. I didn't know he was using You like that he stammered. He just asked casual questions about your schedule. Your policies. Said he was proud of his brother's work. Save it. I told him you've got two options. Help me take him down properly, or I go to the chief today about how you've been sleeping through night shifts and swapping coverage without logging it. Tony chose option 1. Smart guy. With his help, I compiled evidence of all the times Alex had used his connections to get special treatment, including the consulting he did for the fire marshal's office, where he basically took my safety improvement suggestions from family dinners and presented them as his own to city officials. I sent everything directly to the ethics committee at Alex's company, with timestamps showing these were my ideas that predated Alex's innovations by months. Included a nice little note about how he'd been billing the city for expert consulting on fire safety protocols developed by an actual firefighter. But I didn't stop there. Remember how Alex was so insistent on handling the hotel arrangements for the wedding? Turns out he put everything on the company card, the premium suites, the champagne, all of it filed as client entertainment expenses, the corporate fraud cherry on top of the intellectual property theft. Sunday, Wednesday morning, I got a call from Rebecca. She was crying, but happy tears this time. They called me. She said Alex's parents, they want to meet Connor. Turns out my mom couldn't wait. She'd asked me for Rebecca's number and called her first thing Monday morning. They arranged for a park meetup on Thursday. I don't think Alex knows yet. Rebecca said he hasn't changed the child support deposit or anything. He will soon. I told her. Sure enough, Wednesday afternoon my phone blew up with text from Alex. What the did you do? My boss just called me in for an emergency meeting. You snake. I didn't respond, just let him stew. Thursday morning I was on shift when the station TV caught my eye. Local news was showing Alex's investment firm. The ticker at the bottom read local investment banker suspended aid ethics investigation. My captain saw me staring and clapped me on the shoulder. Isn't that your brother's firm? Yeah, I said, trying not to smile too obviously. He said worlds full of trying to cut corners. Then he narrowed his eyes at me. You look way too happy about this. This have anything to do with your wedding getting cancelled? I just shrugged. Cap's a smart guy. He figured it out and laughed. Remind me never to piss you off. Lieutenant that day MIA showed up out of nowhere at the station. She looked like hell. Puffy eyes, hair a mess. That whole feel sorry for me look. She probably practiced in the mirror before coming. 2 minutes, she begged. Please, Jake. I made a horrible mistake. I didn't say anything, just turned and walked toward my truck. If she wanted to talk, she could do it where my crew wouldn't have to watch. She trailed after me, desperate. I don't know what I was thinking. She started. Alex was just so attentive. Always there when you were working those 24-hour shifts, 48-hour shifts I cut in. If you're going to blame my job for you cheating, at least get the schedule right. She flinched, but kept going. That's not what I meant. I got caught up in the attention. He made me feel special. But it wasn't real. What we had was real. I want to fix this. Too late, I said, voice flat. You made your choice, live with it. Please. She was crying now, hands shaking, like this was some kind of dramatic movie scene. I'll do anything we can. Postpone the wedding, go to counseling. My phone buzzed with a news alert. I checked it and smirked before turning the screen toward her. Investment banker fired over ethics violations and corporate fraud. The blood drained from her face. Is that Alex? Yep, guess his career's over. No more penthouse, no more Tesla. Hope it was worth it. Her mouth opened then closed. But he said it was just a misunderstanding, that they were jealous of his success. I let out a sharp laugh. You believe that the guy who lied about having a kid, the guy who screwed his own brother's fiancée, and you thought he was honest with you? Her eyes snapped too. Confused. Wait, what? I laughed. You didn't know her breathing hitched. Alex has a child. I pulled out my phone again, scrolled to the picture Rebecca sent me, and held it out. A curly-haired toddler smiling at the camera. Meet Connor, your ex-fiancé's nephew. She stared at the screen, her face going through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. He lied to me. Her phone rang. Alex's name flashing on the screen. She hesitated, then declined the call. Her hands trembling. What should I do? I snorted. Not my problem. I yanked open my truck door and climbed in. But if I were you, I glanced at her one last time. I'd be careful. A guy who's lost everything, he's got nothing left to lose. I didn't wait for a response, just pulled out and left her standing there in the parking lot looking completely wrecked. I didn't care. This wasn't my mess anymore. As I walked back into the station, I ran into Aaron, one of the paramedics I'd known for years. She had this way of making the worst days feel manageable, like she carried an invisible weight for everyone else. You good? She asked, glancing at MIA, still standing outside like some tragic movie heroine. I exhaled. Yeah, just took out the last piece of trash for my life. She snorted. About time. Then after a beat, you ever going to let me buy you a drink? Or are you still on your lone wolf trust? No one. ___. I blinked. I hadn't even considered dating again, but the way she said it, like it was just a normal thing, no pressure, felt different. Give me a couple weeks, I said, half joking. She smirked. You've got one. And then she was gone, leaving me standing there suddenly, wondering if moving on didn't have to be so complicated. And as it turned out, Alex's mess was only getting started. Remember how his company fired him for ethics violations and fraud? Turns out that was just the beginning. The ethics committee didn't just fire him, they reported him to the Financial Regulatory Board. His broker license is being reviewed, which basically means he's unemployable in his field. The fancy corporate credit card is gone, and apparently he was living pretty much paycheck to paycheck despite the high salary. Lots of debt, minimal savings. I know all this because my parents have been getting regular updates from him, mostly desperate calls asking for money. They've been keeping me in the loop, which is a new and weird experience for once. I'm not the last to know family news. Meanwhile, Mia's been on her own spiral. She lost her job at the design firm, not because of any scandal, but because she stopped showing up after our wedding was called off. Her roommate, who was supposed to be a bridesmaid, reached out to me last week. Apparently Mia's been crashing on the couch, crying constantly and refusing to look for new work. She keeps saying she's going to fix things with you. The roommate told me I told her to move on, but she's not listening. I blocked Mia's number after that, not dealing with that level of delusion. But the real ___ hit the fan. Last night, I was at home watching the hockey game when someone started pounding on my door around 11 p.m. I checked the peal and nearly fell over. It was Alex, looking like absolute hell. He had a fresh black eye, his clothes were wrinkled, and he read of cheap beer. When I opened the door, not exactly the polished investment banker image he used To maintain, can I crash here? He slurred. Trying to push past me, I blocked the doorway. What happened to your eye? He touched it like he'd forgotten it was there. Ran into one of Mia's friends at a bar. Guy sucker punched me and you're here because got evicted yesterday. Been staying at a motel but my card got declined. The pathetic part is he wasn't even trying to sound sympathetic, like he genuinely expected I'd just let him in. After everything not happening, I said. Starting to close the door, he stuck his foot in the gap. I'm your brother. I let out a cold laugh. You're not my brother. You're just some kid my parents picked up and decided was more important than me. His face twisted, but I didn't let him get a word in. You want to talk about family? A real brother doesn't stab you in the back. A real brother doesn't steal from you, doesn't sleep with your fiancée, doesn't make a career off your work. You're just a liar, a fraud, and now a homeless piece of __. His mouth opened and closed like he wanted to argue but didn't know where to start. He settled on sheer entitlement. God, are you still on that? It was weeks ago. He actually sounded annoyed, like I was being unreasonable for not letting it go. I shoved his foot out of the way with my own. Go crash with one of your banker friends or MIA. His face changed. Then MIA won't answer my calls. None of my friends will, and Dad hung up on me. I raised an eyebrow. Wow, it's almost like actions have consequences. That's when he switched tactics, his voice getting all soft and pitiful. I need help, Jake. I think I have a problem with substances. Christ, this guy always the victim. You have lots of problems, Alex. None of them are my responsibility. Where am I supposed to go? He wed. There's a shelter on Ethan Pine. I helped set up their fire safety system last year. Tell them Lieutenant Reeve sent you. His face contorted in disgust. A shelter? I'm not some bum. Could have fooled me, I said, and slammed the door in his face. He started pounding on it again, yelling all kinds of __ about how I'd ruined his life and always been jealous. Classic Alex. Rock bottom and still convinced it's everyone else's fault. I turned up the TV volume and let him tire himself out. My neighbor across the hall, a retired detective, poked her head out at one point. I heard Alex try to charm her into letting him use her phone. That went out as well as you'd expect. Eventually he left, but not before shouting that this wasn't over. Very original threat. Much scary. This morning I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Rebecca. Alex showed up at my apartment at 3 a.m. demanding to see Connor. I called the police. They took him away but said I need a restraining order. Can you help? So that's where I'm headed now, the courthouse downtown, to help Rebecca file paperwork. My buddy from the academy is a sheriff's deputy now, and he said he'd help fast track it. Meanwhile, my parents are beside themselves. My dad wants to get Alex into rehab. My mom's torn between the son she raised and the son she enabled, and I'm just trying to protect the innocent people caught in the wreckage Alex leaves behind. Alex finally ran out of people to con. The golden child routine doesn't work when there's nothing left to take, and while I'm not sitting here revving in his downfall, I'm not losing sleep over it either. He made his choices, he burned every bridge, took what wasn't his, and now he's standing in the ashes wondering why no one's offering him a way out. Actions have consequences, and I'm making damn sure he feels every single one. Some lines you don't cross: sleeping with your brother's fiancée, that's at the top of the list, and I'm not going to lie, I felt kind of empty after reading that text from Rebecca, but a few minutes after I Put my phone down, another text came in. Aaron, hey Lieutenant, your week's up still. Want that drink? I smirked, shaking my head as I typed back, I owe you one, don't I? 3 dots, then damn right, Friday at 7. Don't be late. For the first time in a long time I wasn't thinking about the past, I wasn't stewing over betrayals, cancelled weddings, or family loyalty that was never really there. I was just a guy making plans with someone who saw me for who I was, and maybe, just maybe, that was the best revenge of all. Thanks for coming along for the ride, guys.